Hey guys, and welcome to our review for The Invisible Man, starring Elisabeth Moss,
Invisible Man.
directed by Lee Whannell.
Waynell. Some have said Waynell in the past.
Remains to be seen.
Lee Waynell.
My name is Scott Ellis. I'm joined here by Phil Clark.
I'm a Lay Waynell kind of guy.
Are you?
Yeah.
That's my interpretation of his name.
Layway.
Nice.
Lay
Layway. Also joining us, Adam Franey.
I'm here. Shouts out to our own Invisible Man, Ty Switalski.
Yeah.
I mean, you can still, that's his last known photograph, so.
That's his dream. It's almost like Tony Stark level, right? It's like, he's got the house, he's got the lab, right?
Oh, God.
Phil, can you give us a little synopsis of The Invisible Man?
Invisible Man. After escaping her abusive ex-boyfriend and hearing that he has killed himself, Cecilia Cass starts to think that he may have faked his own death in order to keep controlling and terrorizing her.
No.
See.
Celia.
See.
Yes. The C.
Control yourself, see?
That was cringe.
Sorry.
Let's start with you, Phil. What are your thoughts about The Invisible Man?
Holy
My expectation.
Blumhouse production.
Blumhouse.
Blumhouse.
The Blumhouse.
The Blumkin House.
No, we didn't go that far. We're not going that far.
I did not have high expectations for this movie. I'm not a huge horror fan. This looked like horror-ish-y. I think Elisabeth Moss is a great actress. We'll leave all my opinions of her on the screen, so a little cuckoo off of it. But I was thoroughly surprised by this movie. I liked it more than I thought I was going to. I don't think it's amazing. There's definitely a few questions I have coming out of this movie.
Let's have a couple questions.
I will say that I think this idea that she's being haunted by this invisible man,
True.
titular title.
Spoiler.
It is pretty tense at points. I do find that they did a good job with drawing that tension out and that suspense of what is gonna happen. Is this guy here? Is he not? Is she crazy? That whole element to it was very well done, I felt, and I did feel a lot of suspense. This did kind of set up them to do a lot of jump scares, which I'm not a huge fan of, but some of them did.
You jumped a couple times.
I did jump a couple times
You
in the
moved,
theater.
I
I was
moved.
there was one or two that I was whoa, and then some of them I was anticipating. But there was quite a few jump scares in this.
You said whoa?
Maybe not quite a few, but there was some.
Whoa.
I was like,
Hey!
I hit the whoa in the theater.
That is a real whoa, man.
But yeah, I think the suspense was really good. The score I felt was a little, I almost want to say overdone, if that makes sense.
Really?
I felt like it was almost just a little bit too much, feel tension, and it tried to make you feel tense when it was it already had tension built in the scene.
That's interesting.
I think it was a little over the top.
Interesting.
I mentioned Elisabeth Moss. I think she did a really good job.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are a lot of other people in this movie who did a really good job.
Ooh.
Also starring Aldous Hodge
Aldous was pretty good.
and Oliver Jackson Cohen played the
The
ex.
boyfriend,
Yeah.
Adrian, I think his name is.
Adrian Griffin.
I,
Raptors
yeah,
assistant coach.
so I would say that I
Niche.
liked this movie. I definitely have some problems which we can get into in spoiler section. But overall, I was surprised, and it was better than I thought. Like I said, I didn't have high expectations, but it was still better than I thought it was going to be. If that makes
That's interesting.
sense.
I'll jump in. I kind of have similar feelings. I thought overall it was fine.
Fine.
I didn't love it, but I did like that. Yeah, there were some jump scares, which I always hate. I prefer the dread, that just like the
Crawl
witch or
over.
something. I don't know, where it's just this eerie tension. I just love just those A24 horror movie. I love those. Versus the more, I don't know, exploitative horror where it's just jump scares and stuff. But I did like that they tried to subvert that a little bit in this film, and I liked that there was this element where it wasn't just a straight poltergeist type movie where it's it's a supernatural thing, and we get that it's supernatural.
Yeah.
Whereas in this film it was is it in our head? I like that they played with that. They toyed with that idea. I think for the first, we'll get into spoilers, but for the first while, honestly, they could have played it off she lived
she is.
You could
crazy.
argue she is legit crazy. You could say
Yeah.
like a Shutter Island level thing. I know you'd like that. Where it's like, is this in his head? Is this real? Like, are all these events happening? Is that just the way she sees it? Is that how it's really happening? Like certain like knife things moving, things happening where you're like, okay, I could see that just her have it just be her imagining that, but the perspective of the other characters is like she's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there's a certain level there where you could. I liked how they played with that. Like,
in the first part, for sure.
Yeah,
they definitely do kind of make it
first
ambiguous.
act.
There's no clear like, oh, she is 100% crazy
Yeah.
or she's not crazy. This is actually happening, and it's a ghost.
There's something I always like. I just like it's like the personal shopper thing where like, you know, there's just a camera shot of like a corner of a room and it's just creepy.
Yeah.
Right. I love that. Happened a lot in Personal Shopper.
Yeah.
But in this film, obviously they do it a lot as well. But yeah, there's just some eerie tension with just a very well framed just shot of a corner of a room. I don't know, it's just like what nicely set decorated.
Pretty good cinematography. I would
Yeah.
say. Like a lot of them are
That looks
well framed,
beautiful.
well boxed. Great like composition, and like you said, like very unsettling shots of like a kitchen.
Yeah,
Like,
but there's just
just
something
a
like
kitchen.
the fact that. But every shot in a film should be intentional, right? So like if you have a shot of an empty something, like it makes you feel a certain way, right? It's not just like there's intention with the shot. So like, okay, what's the intention? Well, is there something there? Is there not? Right?
Yeah.
It's like if you have a close up of an object, it's like you're instantly okay. There's a reason they did a close up of a shot, right? So I just like that element. I just thought it lended to the atmosphere and the tension building. I did think when it starts getting in later in the film, it gets a little cringy, and it's just like I start second guessing the logic sometimes. Where it's like, okay, I get that she might be scared in this moment, but like she had a chance to like do something, but there's like a pause and the camera's not on her and it's on something else. We'll get to it. There's like a hallway scene with some cops.
Oh.
I'm like, it shouldn't have gone down that way. But yeah, certain logic stuff, and like right at the end there's like a weird logic thing where I'm like, hey, what? I just thought the first half of this film was great. I really like Elisabeth Moss. I thought she did great, just portraying that kind of how she was like sort of living in fear of this relationship.
And like they did do a good job of showing like how terrifying it is if you're in a, I think for like an abusive relationship, to like how it like even when she's like in the house 2 weeks and like 2 weeks have gone by, she's still like, you can tell how unsettled and like not safe she feels, even though she's completely insulated in this house with a big warm police officer and his daughter. Like
I like the opening sequence because it sets the tone, but it doesn't overtly show like him like beating her or something like super obvious. Mm-hmm. Like you instantly get that she wants to get the fuck out of there, and there's a good reason why. Yeah, and you don't necessarily have to know why. You just have to know that it's clearly abusive in some way.
And the seriousness of like her trying to get out of there and like quietly plodding around the house and like getting her stuff.
Like you're like, okay, like this has to be like, you know, there's a reason. Has to be a good reason for this. And I just thought that sort of set the tone nicely, and that we didn't really get to sort of see him as like almost like a human for most of it, right? I mean, he's just sort of like this unseen monster. And even when there's a scene in the trailer where like he like punches through a window in a car, like that scene, like you don't even see his face. It's like shrouded in like shadow and stuff.
Yeah, it's like here down, right? Because it's in the car, so it's like up to here, but he's still like trying to.
It's like intentionally. It's like it's like the idea of him as like a monster.
Yeah,
like
force.
Yeah.
Nature.
So like I like that. I like that.
You like that?
So, I mean, there's other things that I don't like about this movie.
So
we'll get to that. But I like that element to it. Almost like how like Babadook level, where like the monster in it is like a representation of something, right?
Right.
Like there is a secondary metaphorical meaning to it, which I always like that in horror films. So yeah, that's what I like about it. We'll get into some more stuff, I think, in spoilers, but overall, I liked it. I think it had potential to be even greater, but I do thought it was solid, decent.
Solid.
Adam, what are your thoughts?
So shocked you liked it,
I liked it.
and
He liked it.
you liked it.
Decent, yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I liked it.
Wow.
I liked it. I'm gonna buck the trend.
It's not
a
bucking
good
it that
movie.
much because like I thought
I know.
it did okay.
It's yeah, like I had zero interest when it was announced. I guess it was still attached to the failed Universal Dark
Johnny
Universe.
Depp and-
Yeah, Johnny Depp. I
Can
love
you imagine?
no, I can't.
Like, why would you even have? Imagine this movie. I know it wouldn't have been this movie. Like, it would have been the more classic, like H.G. Wells, like
Yeah.
style. I think, like that whole like feeling. It probably would have been a period piece, right?
Yeah. Is
So-
there
But an
Johnny
action
Depp in it?
movie apparently.
Yeah,
If it was Dark Universe.
but like literally, imagine casting. Like, you didn't need to cast a huge actor in this role for this movie, right?
No.
Obviously,
No, yeah.
right? For like one, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
not very
couple
many scenes.
Yeah.
Like, so why would
Of
you cast
their
Johnny
face.
Depp? Like, this literally has
That's
no
why.
purpose, right? It's just like shock value. Like, you see
Yeah.
his face, that's familiar. But, sorry, go ahead.
Anyway, yeah. I
feel
was
like-
very intrigued by the trailer. I was like, okay, Blumhouse, not necessarily Universal only. I don't know if there's a partnership.
Blumhouse kind of,
took over.
yeah, it's like a partnership. Like, obviously, Universal, like, what's it called?
License?
They distributed it.
Yeah.
It's still Universal, but like Blumhouse kind of took over the producing aspect.
So they're like, creatively, we don't know what we're doing. Let's let Blumhouse.
Yeah, and I think
Do the
Lee
work.
came in with the pitch. I think that's how
Oh.
he got it. Like, I don't know if he pitched it to Blumhouse or something.
Yeah.
But like, he had this idea, he kind of came in with his own little spin on it to have it be this kind of domestic abuse angle, and then obviously Blumhouse, Jason Blum, agreed to produce it, and then they went to Universal or whatever.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's a good psychological thriller. Obviously, with I guess some sci-fi mixed in there a little bit. Love the opening scene that you're talking about. Production design, the house looked amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I think the movie's gorgeous. Like warm, shot very warm colors and everything. Not necessarily the colors, but the actual hue of the film stock that they're using. Like looks has that grainy
Like Fincher-esque?
warmth. Yeah,
Like that kind
yeah,
of.
maybe that. Yeah,
There's a certain texture to it.
for sure. It doesn't look like some. I don't know,
It might be shot in digital, but it doesn't
Yeah.
look like it's like this cold.
yeah, like
Netflix
iPhone-y,
aesthetic.
Netflix. That's exactly what I was gonna say. Yeah, and I just love how she's like you feel that tenseness to escape right away, and when she finally gets over the wall and she's running, and you feel how stranded they are, in the middle of nowhere, and she makes it to the woods. I just love that feeling of holy fuck, we gotta get out of here, and we got a long way to go. And then yeah, I really like how they tease the shot of the sort of invisible man equipment, the whole lab scenario. I'm just oh, that's creepy.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. I just like how
They set that up.
she's not exploring it and whoa, this device, it must turn you invisible.
Yeah.
There's none of that. It's just quick shot of her running by it, and you immediately are oh shit,
It doesn't treat the audience like an idiot.
like a moron.
Doesn't,
Which a lot of movies-
feed you every single thing and be like,
And this type of horror film would normally, I feel.
I read an article, an interview with the director, and they were talking about how there were test audience, they tested the film, and the test audience wanted a scene in the beginning to show the actual abuse. They're what actually happened though? We want to know what happened.
See, I hate that.
And the director was no, I trust the audience, or I'm hoping the audience will get it.
and
Yeah.
it is very
And
obvious, at the beginning, like you guys said.
Anyone should get that. It's
You should
so
be able
obvious,
to pick that
right?
up intuitively,
It
without
just
any words
has-
and dialogue. It's just her creeping out of the house, and you understand the situation, like you said, completely.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse than a movie just assuming you're stupid and over explaining things. It's we get it. We're not dumb. You can just, we get it. You show that one shot, of her looking down the hallway and or into the room or seeing the
Yeah.
sort of the lab, and you're like, you instantly get it. Like, you don't,
Perfect.
like, you should instantly get it, and that works well. And I always appreciate that in films when they assume that the audience is smart instead of the opposite.
And him attacking the car is like more than enough. Like that's just maybe like a little compromise. Like the
Yeah.
audience wanted to see that he's abusive. Well, that tells you all you need to know, right? The little car scene from the
Smash
trailer.
the window, yeah.
That's boom.
That's
Okay,
enough.
perfect. We
100%.
got a psycho on our hands or whatever, right? Love the ambiguity, like you were saying. I was like, oh man, are they gonna like really play with this? Like in the first act, like are they gonna like do something insane? Are they gonna actually play it like Babadook level or something, where it's like
Like, what was that clairvoy? I didn't see it, but that clairvoy.
unsane?
Unsane?
Yeah, she's
Like,
gonna
where
be
it's like-
unsane.
Yeah.
Unseen, I think. Is the, boom, psh.
True.
Elisabeth Moss is always good. Like she was amazing in Us.
Yeah.
She was really good in
She's
this.
always solid, yeah.
Yeah, she has like a good horror movie like face. Like she looks scared. Like she has that like
She plays that well.
you feel her fear and everything like coming off her.
And to Scott's point, like she also has that like unsettled look. Like she does that
Yeah.
very well. Where like you don't know if she's disturbed, and
Right.
like, she's just coming up with this idea, or if
Yeah.
it's actually happening. Like she does that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I liked a lot of the ways they were playing with the invisibility. Like certain moments were awesome. I love the kitchen moment with like the burner burning up the food and stuff like that.
It could be played off. Yeah, I just love that. It could either be, okay, there's literally an invisible person there, or like,
Yeah.
did she just fuck up? Like,
Or like you're saying,
did
I
she
love
do
the
it on purpose?
cinematography. Like they'll just show you a couch for like what feels like 30 seconds, and you're just like, okay, is someone there or not? And then they'll just cut and never
Yeah.
go back to it. And it like puts you in the mind state of Elisabeth Moss's character, because it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this person's literally invisible. Like anything here could be a threat. Like this couch could be a threat. No, okay, it wasn't this time. Then other times it'll sit on something and then something will happen and you're like, oh god, like it makes you paranoid, right? I love that. I love the score. That distorted like electronic like blast whenever he would attack her, I thought was amazing.
I honestly can't even remember the score.
Really? That
Yeah.
blows me away.
Is that weird? I don't know.
Yes.
I like the fighting, like the actual.
It's
When someone was
like a
fighting,
distorted
but-
like electronic like I don't know how to like
I
blast like
I guess, yeah, I can kind of...
I just didn't like the like in between moments when they're that like the score's in there, and I'm like, this is trying to make me feel tense, but like I already feel tense. I don't need the score to try to like
Yeah.
It always...
pull more tension.
It should be there to
Like,
enhance,
I'm with you
obviously.
there.
Yeah, it wasn't. It felt a little over the top at some points, but
But the big cues
Yeah.
of what I'm talking about, like when he's choking her in the kitchen and like lifts her off the ground, that was like with the I don't even know what they were using to make it, but I looked it up. The composer did what's it called? Oh yeah, Blade Runner 2049.
What?
Yeah, co-composed it with Hans Zimmer.
What's that?
He's like, I don't know, apparently Hans Zimmer's at the stage now where he just has like ghost composers, I guess, like working
Yeah.
with them and stuff. But this is like one of his prodigies. But anyway, yeah, I like the score, and yeah, I think it gets a little cheesy,
Hammy?
a little hammy, a little
hammy and
Scooby Doo. Yeah, it gets a little Scooby Doo, like pull the mask off situation,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Like
I
it's
feel that, I feel
and
that.
I'm just like, yeah, it's like now
I
we're
like
getting
the first half. And
yeah.
Now it's like
We were doing like a good movie, and now we're getting into like a very horror, like tropey situation. But I
It's kinda
overall I thought it was
good.
better than it should have been.
It's like Personal Shopper went full.
Like personal shopper.
Like I like the way that movie ended was perfect.
Yeah,
That was like almost like before the supernatural reveal.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
before the mask was.
before the Scooby Doo.
Whereas this movie, like, it's Blumhouse. They had to do that eventually, right?
But I think like
they couldn't commit to the premise that much, you know.
right. I think Upgrade showed potential for the director. Like I didn't love that movie, but it had a lot of potential, and now I can see Blumhouse giving him resources and like an IP to work with. I think it's a step up above Upgrade, so I think he is getting better.
It's
as
an
a
upgrade
director.
on upgrade.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, I mean, I think this movie is doing well at the box office. It's currently
yeah.
sitting at 90% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Our theater
Didn't
was
know
pretty
that.
busy, but we were at a pretty neutral time slot, so it was peak time slot.
Yeah, it
I
was
think it, like,
Saturday,
tripled?
6. So
I saw the figure. It might have been 30 million, I think, and cost like 5. It like was like a smash.
And this is opening weekend, right?
It's classic, classic Blumhouse.
yeah, zero budget,
Budget
high
low.
profit.
High profit.
Yeah, I mean,
concept over everything.
yeah, I think upgrade in this,
Silly.
like, that's a good start. Obviously, like you were saying earlier before we were recording, Adam, that
Behind the
Lee
scenes.
also did the Saw movies and Insidious and worked with James Wan
wrote them
previously.
all.
So I mean, he has that pedigree, right? So now he's
Yeah.
sort of shifting over to the director's seat and kind of shown he can sort of give this creative, unique angle on some of these stories. I think it's kind of exciting. I'm kind of curious to see what he does next.
Yeah.
Let's give our ratings and we'll get into some spoiler talk. I'm gonna start off. I'm gonna go heavy 3.
I'm also going heavy 3.
Oh, well, heavy 3. I'm sorry. If you come to this for arguments, we're going to manufacture
This-
some fake
yeah.
ones, don't
Yeah.
worry.
Lately, it's been pretty consistent.
Very
with our
consistent.
reviews.
But it's February, so.
Yeah.
We avoid the divisive movies, I think, in the early parts of the year. The
Yeah.
Sonic, the
We'll get
Hedgehog.
to it. We'll get to the Sonics.
Yeah.
Do we have to?
Yikes.
No, we don't. I'm not getting to it.
Let's talk spoilers then. I guess I'll start off. The one scene where I kind of questioned the logic was when she's in the hospital and she sort of breaks out, gets away from the Invisible Man, and there's sort of a shootout action sequence in a hallway with a bunch of police officers coming to sort of diffuse the situation.
Noah's Ark, like 2x2. They're just like.
Very fanforstic Doctor Doom introduction scene.
I think, yeah, I just think the one part that bothered me was at the end she picks up the gun and runs after him, whereas there's a whole thing where like the Invisible Man is holding a gun and like pausing and pointing it at someone and like pausing for effect and then walks away. And all I'm thinking during that is she's literally sitting there on the ground just watching this and doing nothing.
Yeah.
And then after he walks away and shoots the guy, slowly, I might add, he does this slowly, he walks away, shoots the guy like as he walks away, instead of shooting him in the head. She could have just picked up the gun and shot where the gun was floating, right, and shot him in the back, right?
Yeah, that's baffling.
Like that, the whole time I'm like, what? Why isn't she just shooting him? Why is she waiting? She's waiting, like plot waiting.
Because there's more plot to be told, Scott.
Yes, she's...
If she shoots him, that's it.
So yeah, I just think there could have been a better way of doing that. Like if she was like, she got like I don't know knocked against the wall and she was like dazed.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a
Stunned.
like if she was just stunned in that moment, like I would have my mind would have my brain would have accepted it.
You wouldn't have noticed.
But because she was just kind of like
Crouching
on the
there.
ground, just kind of like watching, my brain couldn't accept it. That's just one part that I didn't like, and I didn't love.
Break.
There's certain scenes with like the paint getting thrown on them and like the jump scares and stuff.
You didn't love the paint moment? I loved it.
I thought it
dude.
was a little bit much.
That's what I was getting at, like with the ways they use the invisibility certain moments. Like I love that. It just shocked the shit out of me.
It was a little tropey. It was a little
It was
cliche.
tropey.
It's
It
like
was a little Hollow
throw
Man.
the paint on the Invisible Man. Like, oh fuck, I get it.
Here's what I didn't get.
What piece
This
of
is my
shit.
biggest takeaway. I
It
didn't.
was a over the top jump scare. Also,
Maybe this is something they could have added, but I didn't get how she was able to understand where he was when he was like fully invisible.
like when? Oh, like,
Did she?
Like
I don't think she did.
when he's in the house, she's like he's behind, like or in the hallway scene. He's like he's behind you. It's like he's invisible. Like he's completely invisible.
They're partners, man. They're lovers.
But like she's able to like
She had
tell.
the intuition.
She's like telling him like, oh, he's behind you. Like
he's
oh,
lifting his
he's
left
here.
hand to
Like
hit you.
he's gonna hit you. Like, and she's like in the court. Like she knows she can see him, especially at the last like half an hour of the movie. She can like see where he is, and I'm like, I don't
That's bizarre.
understand. Like she's lying in bed, like, and they're giving her like the needle to calm down. She's like looking in the corner, like she's like he's here, like
Okay, I
staring
don't.
in the corner.
Okay, in some of those scenes, I don't know if she really knows, but she thinks he's there.
She thinks
he might not be there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's kind of losing her mind too, though.
yeah,
So like,
She's
there's kind of a
wild.
gray area there.
yeah.
It's like she's going a little crazy, assuming he's everywhere, and he might have been in some of those cases. He might have, like, obviously, because you have the, you're the audience perspective where you see certain things that she doesn't, and you know that he probably is there. If there's like an indentation in the seat cushion or whatever, like you get it, or like the knife knife's moving and stuff like that. Yeah, but obviously, I mean, there's a little bit of plot.
I was like, well, how did
weird stuff there.
Okay, well, I have to ask you about this moment then, because I loved it. I was like, shitting bricks at the dinner scene with her sister.
Dinner scene was
I thought that was great.
That was insane.
That was insane.
Where it's just like the shock of like the knife. You just see the knife floating, and then the knife floating, and then just cuts her throat, and then instantly goes into their hand, and you're just like, fuck.
The scene, the shot before is like Elisabeth Moss or like Claire or Cecilia, like trying to explain to her sister like what's going on, and then her sister's like, huh, why is there a knife floating? And then it like cuts to the knife, and the knife just like, and it's just like, holy fuck. And then Elisabeth Moss is like, what? And then you just see like her hand gets picked up, and like the knife just goes right in the hand, and then
like, people eating just like,
she's like still like, I thought that was a great scene.
It was done very, very well.
I like
the person sitting next to me was like in complete utter shock.
Was it me? Because I was like,
they were like,
ah! Yeah,
no!
That's
like
what
they
I
had
did.
this big reaction to it.
My the air left the room in my theater. It was like a collective like,
yeah.
It's cool.
So what did you guys think about the end?
Well, speaking of cool,
throat slitting. I mean, at the end,
a little throat slitty, a little too throat slitty.
Like, I like the idea of her kind of like agreeing and like going like undercover to like fuck him up.
Yeah, I like the revenge. Like yeah, like get yours. Like that. I hate when the.
I didn't understand.
I didn't understand it though. The logic.
The end of it when, like, so she like this whole thing goes down.
Break it down.
She goes to dinner with the ex.
She goes to dinner with the ex who is now alive, who has faked his kidnapping and pinned it on his brother who's now dead. Then she decides to go have dinner with him to kind of settle the score and see where they're at, and if she can live with him. He's
inviting her over for dinner with the, manipulative idea of
having
her come back and like have the baby and all this stuff.
And I'll let you go free from the psych ward. I'll stay away from like James's daughter, like the family you're living with. I'll keep all that. It'll just be you and me. So she goes back. They have this conversation. She puts on the invisible suit that she hid earlier in the movie.
Okay, that's what I didn't get.
Yeah, so she sneaks into the closet. Remember when she sneaks into the closet?
How does the timing work there?
I guess she goes to the
I don't
bathroom.
understand the timing.
What do you mean?
Like, okay, his throat gets slit by an invisible person. And then literally like 10 seconds later she walks out of the bathroom. And
I think she slits his throat, runs, throws the suit off, and then like walks out of the bathroom.
I just thought it was so fast. Like he would have bled out.
No,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I thought was weird. I'm like, are they trying to say that she did that? Like I didn't understand it at first. I'm like, that's impossible.
That's why
he would have bled out in that time.
She's like,
for her to like,
did he not
take the suit off?
No.
He did, but after she came back and like watched him.
Yeah, she's on the phone like screaming, and then she's in the blind spot, and she puts the phone down, and then is like, surprise.
Right, it just felt like the timing, the way it was edited, like it felt like throat slit, and then literally like 2 seconds later she walks out of the bathroom.
Right.
Like that's how it felt. If that's why it felt weird, the timing for me. Like I was like, is someone else in the suit? Like, did she get someone?
I thought that too. I was like,
but I'm like, who would have done it? Like, there's no one else.
And then that's
why I was confused at first.
So then I guess he dies. So she packs the invisible suit up and like is leaving the house.
She did a poor job packing the suit up. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
barely packed it up.
Like we could see.
You gotta put some effort into it. Like put something over it. Like
zip that fucking thing up.
Just turn it on, maybe. Maybe just turn it on.
Yeah,
like invisibility cloak style. Just in the bag. Then no one's gonna see it.
True.
What if you wrap the bag in the suit and turn the suit on?
Well, then you gotta carry the invisible bag, right? Then you're like walking around like this, like leaving a dead guy. Like,
I have it right now.
So she runs into James, and they have a conversation, and then like she walks on, and then I didn't get it because like he like walked into the house, but I didn't understand that.
Why he walked in? I mean, he's a police officer. Someone just died, and he heard it.
But the whole thing was like he was supposed to be undercover, right? And he's like, nope, looks like he killed himself to me. Like,
I mean, I get it. Like, I don't think he was like he was undercover, like
Yeah.
as a cop, like helping her.
I get, yeah.
Like, I think it was like a sanctioned thing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it was like him, like, off the clock doing this. It felt like to me. It felt like an official like sting,
Undercover, try to get
because
him to confess. She's wired up and all that.
because they had like proof, I guess, of all the people in the hall, and all those people like saw the suit and everything. So like, it seemed like they were going along to sort of see if she could catch him in the act with the wire.
Okay.
And then she was able to parlay that into, with all the camera footage and her with the phone call, like making it seem like he actually killed himself.
Damn, that's savage, man. Holy shit.
So, what do you guys think about potential for a sequel?
The Invisible Woman?
Yeah, like obviously it would be the Invisible Woman, right?
I don't know. How would that...
Who would she?
What would the premise be?
I don't know.
What would the angle be?
Is she like doing something to someone
I mean,
else?
she's a murderer now, right?
Yeah, she's down to kill. That's true. Maybe
Literally, not just like
DTK.
a
she like
murder.
avenge like abused wives kind of thing.
Maybe.
Like go around and become like a borderline like superhero, dare I say, like a vigilante, situation.
Invisible.
Maybe.
That could be that would
That's
be
a
something.
that's a Me Too angle, right?
Yeah, it could be a good Me Too allegory. Yeah, it'd be.
I don't know. There's something.
If you're listening,
there's potential
Plum,
there.
Jason, give me a
Like
call.
Dexter style, right? Like
Yeah.
she.
Invisible Woman TV spinoff.
It doesn't have to be TV, but she just like
Yeah.
she just kills bad people while she's invisible.
Is Blumhouse taking over, starting their own dark universe now, or is that idea dead? They're just going to do good.
It feels like DC Black or whatever.
That is exactly what it feels like.
It feels like they're just doing standalone, one-off. Like
I use that.
you get a good story, you get a good script,
Yeah.
and it's its own thing. Like you just do that. Like you don't try to interconnect them.
I literally used that to explain to my cousin Jake, who I saw it with. I was telling him about the Dark Universal universe. And I was like, yeah, it's like the DCU that like bombed or whatever. This is their Joker. Invisible Man is their standalone.
Like just think about the Tarantino like universe, right? Like everything's
Right.
kind of like in the same universe, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like obvious. Like they're not trying. He's not trying to force connections, right? But yet there's like this Tarantino like universe thing. Like that's fine. Like you can do this in like a universe and just but you just don't don't overtly connect them. Like when you try with like what was it? The Mummy. When you try to do this overdoing of the sort of the connecting universe idea, it just what's the word? It's like you can see how obvious it is. It's like getting invited to a steak dinner to fucking listen to a thing about a timeshare. It's like you can everyone sees it for what for the scam that
That's
it is.
what the Mummy was, getting invited.
Like I don't know, it just has that
to
feeling where like
dinner.
Everyone knows it's a scam. Like everyone knows that the Mummy is trying to set up this big universe and like get your money and like do all this bullshit.
I've got a really good business opportunity. I think
you just gotta
really
come to my house.
It's literally like that. It's like
pyramid scheme.
Yeah,
the Mummy was
Fuck.
like Tom Cruise was the steak. Like that's what got you there.
He is the steak.
And then you fucking heard this giant scheme of bullshit, which is like, seeing all these. Anyways, it's just
you bring in three friends,
honey
and
dick
they
house
each
with
bring in
TC.
three friends, and they each bring in three friends. You're making $15,000 a month.
yeah. It's just like it's super obvious to like most people that it's exploitative in that way. So
do we know
it can be connected, but if you force it, it just doesn't work, in my opinion.
has there been any word of Blumhouse doing more of these Universal monster films? Like is this?
I don't think so.
This is a hit.
I feel like there is a
obviously.
Frankenstein that's like in the works.
Not Blumhouse though.
I don't know. I don't know. I
And
feel
has
like
there been sequel
the
talk?
thing is Frankenstein is like, what's the word? It's like
Open.
yeah.
Whatever.
It's
Anyone can make one.
yeah.
That's what I thought.
So, it might not be the same idea, but I would love to see more of these movies like reimagined with these different unique angles. I would love that. Instead of
bring them into this century in this time period.
yeah. Instead of like the force like remember like Wolfman, like Benicio del Toro, like bullshit.
Yeah.
Like
No.
where they try
I didn't know about this.
they try to do like this is like 10 years ago now, right? They
Sounds
try
like
to
a
do
good
the
idea,
classic
right?
story, like they try to do the like classic like book version,
Period piece.
and like do this like CG wolf and like do all this like, but it just does like I don't know, I just don't like it as much than where it's like this emotional, there's this emotional depth like angle to it. Right?
Yeah.
I love that. So
Agreed.
I hope Universal and Blumhouse can work together and do more.
Fingers
I'm
crossed.
down for more.
Yeah.
I think that'll do it for our review of The Invisible Man. Phil, where can people find you?
You can find me on Letterboxd at Wicked Swami.
You can find me on Twitter at Franny25 and Instagram and Letterboxd at UpperLatham.
Find myself, Scott, on Letterboxd at UpRealScott as well. If you like this video, leave a like on it, leave a comment below in the comment section, and of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, keep it real.